This video marks the official release of the All Cod4 Codjumper Maps project, aimed to provide an overview of All Cod4 Codjumper Maps and the download source where you can download the best version of those maps which have been released beyond reasonable doubt. Question: if you have an old hard drive somewhere, one that might still have Codjumper Maps from around 2008 to 2012, please reach out. Contact me on Discord or leave a comment below. Even a single forgotten map can add a lot of value to the archive I'm about to show. My name is FrisbeeSky, and this video presents the result of a project that's been in the making for around a decade. But first, let me share a thought. Despite many websites providing Codjumper maps and Codjumper forums providing content and discussion, there has never been an absolute canon of Codjumper maps. When Codjumper servers are set up, there's often no clarity about which version of a map is the correct one after a map maker updates his map. Information about who made which map, whether it was officially released, and when that happened is often unclear or unreliable. Put simply, Codjumper history was never properly preserved. This project, called All Cod4 Codjumper Maps, aims to fix that. Funk and I created this project to archive Codjumper history before it's lost to time. It helps completionists who want to finish every Codjumper map. It helps map makers see which map names are already taken. It helps server hosts curate specific Codjumper maps for their servers. And who knows in what other ways this project might be useful. So that is why we've worked on this. The project consists of 4 main parts: a spreadsheet, a download source, a permanent gateway to that source, and an online space for future updates and discussion. Let's start with the spreadsheet. It's the backbone of the project. Here you will find 3 main tabs: dashboard, map list, and definitions. The map list contains 2 types of maps. Those released publicly beyond any reasonable doubt, which means that the mapmaker clearly intended them to be played by anyone, and honorable mentions, names of particular maps, maps that were publicly accessible at some point, often distributed through servers or talked about in forums. And in some cases, they are early versions of unreleased maps that circulated anyway within the Codjumping community. Each map entry includes detailed categories such as authors, release dates, game modes, functionality, and more. You can change the order of the list by creating a temporary filter view. Go to Data, create filter view, and then change the order of things as you like. It will reset when you refresh the page. If it's unclear what a label means, the Definitions tab explains every category and label in detail. The dashboard serves as the spreadsheet's front page. It contains some credit, general statistics, and, very important, a link to a permanent gateway to the download archive. This brings us to the second part of the project. You'll see a YouTube video linked on the dashboard page. Its description holds 2 crucial links: the spreadsheet I just showed you and the location of the official download archive. This YouTube video acts as a permanent reference point. Even if the archive's location on the internet changes in the future, this description can always be updated, pointing you to the one that's active. So save the link, you can always return to it. Now let's talk about the download archive itself. Currently hosted on GitHub, the archive is home to what we believe are the best available versions of all Codjumper maps. Maps are grouped by year of release and collected from dozens of places. When different versions were found, we have selected the most complete or stable one. Release years are listed in the spreadsheet, but note, new maps are only added to the archive every 6 months. This gives time for post-release updates and helps to keep the archive clean. So if a map comes out in June, it will be added in the January update. But that will be too soon for a map released in August, so that will be added in the update of July the next year. Meanwhile, the spreadsheet will reflect new maps almost immediately. And by the marking of Soon, you can see which ones are not yet added to the archive, but will be in the next update. The marking of Not Yet means that it will be added in another future update. If you want those maps earlier, then I recommend to either ask around or hop on an empty Codjumper server which hosts those maps and vote for them to come up. At the very least, we aim to make the spreadsheet as complete as possible. Back to GitHub. Besides the main collections, there are extras. Map fixes you can find at the top of the GitHub page, additional versions, Bounce Builder, and Codjumper mods. There's also a backup link if Mediafire isn't working well for you. And, of course, some disclaimers at the bottom. Finally, for all future updates and discussions, we have created a dedicated Discord server called Codjumper Database. There you'll find channels for updates, links, and ongoing conversations. So that's the full overview. Now, again, if you've got the hard drive with old Codjumper maps, please take a look. Every map counts and your help could make a real difference. If you've made it this far into the video, you might be thinking, it's all fun and games, but how accurate is this really? How reliable is the spreadsheet, and how do I know the download source actually contains the best version of every Codjumper map? Let me introduce part 2 of this video. Originally, I planned a full documentary answering those questions, but after recording about 80% of it, I realized it would run over an hour. So instead, I'll be adding an extra tab to the spreadsheet, a detailed history log that covers all of this. That update will come in the next couple of weeks. For now, let me give you an ultra summarized version. In 2016, Funk started collecting every Codjumper map he could find. He searched on the FrisbeeSky server, FrisbeeSky4 Codjumper difficulty list, various index sites, and Codjumper forums. He also tracked rumored maps, maps people talked about but for which no download existed. Along the way, he documented map makers, release dates, and whether maps were meant for old school or non-OS mode. That same year, in August 2016, I independently started a similar project. By the way, we didn't know about each other's project. In 2017, Funk came across one of my projects after I stopped playing Codjump and when I shared some unfinished work on the FrisbeeSky forums. That's how Funk learned about my project. Meanwhile, Funk kept expanding his list, revisiting forums and sources over the years. Around 2017 or 2018, the Styx website went offline. Funk had only partially went through its forums, so some information was lost. Still, he continued maintaining and expanding the list through 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. During that time, he also reached out to other players about missing maps. One of them was Glitcher, who eventually recovered an old hard drive containing many Codjumper maps with 2 maps that weren't yet on the list. In July 2023, when I was back into Codjump again for a while, I wanted to complete what I started in 2016. I knew about Funk's efforts, so I reached out to him and that's when we started collaborating on the All Cod4 Codjumper Maps project. I merged my 2016 findings with Funk's list, rechecked servers, and searched additional index sites. By August 2023, we had a complete overview of all known Codjumper maps, released, unreleased, or rumored without available files. Not every map we found is publicly listed. We maintain a separate internal list of maps we believe were never intended for public release. Most of them are incomplete test versions of maps that are already listed in the public spreadsheet, so you're not missing anything really. By the end of 2023, we had the most complete Codjumper map collection, at least by name, and at least one version of every known map, except for a few rumored ones. What we didn't always have yet was the best version. That's what kicked off one of the most time-consuming projects I've ever worked on. Throughout 2024, I systematically compared map versions from roughly 10 different sources. I started by comparing my user maps folder with Funk's, then moved on to the Jumper7 server, the FrisbeeSky server, and multiple online index sites. I compared file sizes. When needed, I inspected map scripts using Tom's FF extractor, loaded map versions side by side in separate Cod4 clients, and in about a dozen cases, contacted map makers directly. Most of 2024 was spent doing this on and off. I'm summarizing dozens of hours here. And while the collection of best map versions grew, so did my brain rot.
Wow! What you looking at? That's just the same. Which one is smaller? This one is small. Lightning. This is driving me crazy. Maybe.
In 2025, Funk and I tackled maps that refused to load in DevMap, regardless of version. In several cases, we worked directly with the map makers. In the end, we managed to create a fix for every single one. That means every map we provide for download can be played in DevMap. From April 2025 onward, I focused on finishing touches, completing spreadsheet categories, making the usage of labels more consistent, setting up the download source, currently hosted on GitHub, and creating the YouTube video whose description acts as a permanent gateway to the project's main links. That's the core process behind this project, spanning over a decade. And even then, I haven't mentioned everything. There are still side projects which Funk and I have worked on that could expand this further, if they ever reach a presentable state. For one last time, I would like to remind you, if you have an old hard drive with Codjumper maps like Glitcher did, please take a look. Every map counts. And oh, I forgot to mention, towards the end of 2025, I created that Codjumper database Discord server, which feel free to join. The link is in the description. And last but not least, I then made the video you're watching right now, which now, in January of 2026, marks the release of this whole project, which Funk and I each have put our heart and soul into. That rests me with one last thing. Huge thanks to Funk, with whom this project would have never gotten to this level of detail and completion. And thank you to everyone who has contributed, or will contribute, in any way or form. Thank you very much for watching. I'm FrisbeeSky, and I will see you next time.